Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's D1D here, and today we're going to be doing a bit of a different video. If you've noticed on my channel, I have a playlist I believe called Solo Run Setup, and it's looking pretty empty, only having that lone video of the Sanqui randomizer tool, which is the randomizer I used to use to get Pokemon from generations 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 into red and blue before I figured out how to do it on my own. And today I want to show you guys how to do it. And we're going to be using Clodsire as our example Pokemon. Not only are we going to be putting Clodsire into the game, but we're going to be adding a few new moves as well. If we scroll down here and just look at Clodsire, because I've been looking over it a little bit. The stats, those are important. We're going to need that. But also the move pool here. Um, I'm thinking we're going to be adding Mud Shot, Poison Jab, Sludge Wave, and Mega Horn. Looking at the TMs here, I'm not going to add any like new moves in terms of like TMs, but I do want to look them over and just say, think to myself, what makes sense for this thing in Generation 1? Like, I think it makes sense that it could learn Body Slam in Generation 1, or Takedown or Double Edge, or even Rest. Considering that it's a poison and ground type, I think it learning Dig, Earthquake, and Fissure, Dig shows up right here. I think it makes sense for it to learn those moves, along with Toxic. Considering every Pokemon can learn, oh, there's Body Slam as well, but as I was saying before, considering every Pokemon in Generation 1 can learn Bide, Reflect, Double Team, those are others that make sense to me as well. And I think a good starting point with this thing, and we'll get into it when I actually do the backport, is we're essentially going to copy like Nidoking's like stats and move pool and make modifications from there. So the first thing we want to do, you're going to want to install something called Cygwin, and I'll actually have a link down below. It's to a video that Squidgy made when it comes to installing Cygwin and cloning, one of the repositories from GitHub. That will be a video that I make another day, but I wanted to make this one right now just because one of my homies that I watched stream the other day, Valkos Lunari, shout out to Valkos and the Brigadine streams. He was like, if I ever get back into playing Pokemon, I want to know how you do some of these things. So I thought, let's make a guide. But I'm gonna put a quick pause on the video, and I will meet you guys back when I have all of my stuff open. Alright, so I've got my cloned repository of Pokered. Excuse me. I'm not going to be editing anything out like that. I am going to grab my drink really quick here. Okay. So the one quick thing I want to make a quick note on, um, the link that I'll have in the description here, it'll be to a video Squidgy made for downloading the program you're going to need to actually build your ROMs, clone repositories from GitHub. It is called Cygwin. I'll also have a step-by-step guide in the description, or maybe I'll make it a pinned comment on what to do. But anyway, we have our cloned repository here. If I open this up, you're probably looking at all these and you think to yourself like, what the hell is all this? And I'll be real with you, it's a bunch of stuff that probably isn't going to make a lot of sense. I want to just, say that I am not a coder. I don't have a background in coding. My background is in finance. I've worked in finance since I was in my mid 20s. So, if I don't know something or I sound confused by it, I will say this. There are people you can reach out to in the community that will help you. I think Gym Leader Matt is a good source. I think Snowy is a good source. I think Squidgy is a good source. I think Scott's Thoughts is a good source. Other people I know that can do some coding. Iron Sprite from Scott's solo running Discord. Austin, I believe. All very good people you can reach out to. But let me get over to our wiki page here. And I'm actually going to adjust it in OBS here. There we go. The constant like silence and like pauses. My throat and voice today are like killing me. And it's only, 12:30 in the afternoon. So, yeah, hopefully I'm not coming down with anything. But let's get started. Now, normally I would use something like VS Code when opening up these files, but today it's just going to be a normal WordPad. And we're going to be following the wiki behind us. If I move this up some, so it says, first step is to open up the consonants, Pokemon consonants ASM file. So, our consonants folder, Pokemon consonants. Let me drag this over. So like I said, this is in just WordPad right now. Normally I do it in VS Code. But I want to show it in something that like everybody could get used to. Because I know there are some people out there that will download something because they heard from someone else that they should because it makes something better, and they have no idea how to use it. So when I make my backports, one thing you could do, you could add a new Pokemon, but the way I've always done it is I just replace Golem, because Golem doesn't appear on anybody's team, doesn't appear in the wild. It doesn't appear as just a random Pokemon you can register in your Pokedex. So I just always replace Golem. So we're going to highlight Golem here. Type in Clodsire. Let me actually spell its name right. We're going to scroll all the way to the bottom here. And Clodsire is a poison ground type. So I think it's going to make the most sense to replace Charmander. And this right here, you see it says starters. Now when we boot up our ROM, it's going to be Clodsire there instead of Charmander. So, that is the first step done. Now it says we're going to go to Pokedex consonants, the ASM file. So if I bring back up our folder, our Pokedex consonants, my WordPad pops back up. My throat is like extremely dry today. I'm going to do a Control F for Golem, because again, we're going to be replacing Golem in the game with Clodsire, and this just shows you it's literally the Pokedex order of all the Pokemon. Next, base stats and moves. And in this wiki guide, which I'll also link in the description, it's essentially showing you how to backport Crobat into the game, which is why it has you copy Golbat's stats here. Like, we're going to copy Golbat and just update it with Crobat and all that. What is it? Yep, data, Pokemon base stats. Data, Pokemon base stats. And I said, we're essentially just going to copy Nidoking. I scrolled too far. We could use Nidoqueen as well. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to paste it. Nidoking copy. We're just going to rename it Clodsire. Open up our file here. Dex, Nidoking. First thing you want to do, replace that. Clodsire. Now I have Bulbapedia open in the background here because we need to look at its stats. So 130 HP, okay. Get that down. 130 HP. Its attack is 75. Defense is 60. The speed stat here, pay attention to these. SPD is speed, SPC is special. It has 0 speed, so 20. Now, when it comes to special here, you could be the type of person that gives it 45 base special for its special attack, or you could give it 100 base special for its special defense. Me, when I started doing these backports on my own, I prefer to give the Pokemon its special attack stat for its special. Back when I used to use the randomizer tool, I would just go with the higher stat. But I found that, I guess I shouldn't say that I always use the special attack stat. I found that, like, looking at the Pokemon and thinking, like, okay, would this thing be a special attacker? Would it not be? That's the way I kind of look at all of it. Clodsire, I'm going to go with 45 base special because if you look at its starting moves here, look at that. It learns Amnesia on evolution. We're going to give it Amnesia as a starting move. So Tail Whip, Poison Sting, Amnesia, Toxic Spikes. Instead of Toxic Spikes, we could just go Toxic. And right now you're just seeing me replace its starting moveset here, which is this line. One thing to note is that when moves have spaces in their name, you want this symbol here. Don't just put a space, otherwise you're going to get an error. One quick thing to fix too is that because it's going to be looking for Clodsire, we want to replace any Nidoking text with Clodsire. And this line of code is just it looking for Clodsire's photo within the game or its sprite. So now we've got our starting moveset. These are TMs. It doesn't look like... I'm not seeing Surf in any of the water moves, but because this thing learns so many water moves... Oh, there's Surf. I think it makes sense that it can learn those. It cannot learn Thunderbolt or Thunder. And right now I'm just kind of shifting TMs around on each line of code here. Each line of code has 5 TMs, as you see. Because Clodsire can learn Mega Horn, I think horn drill makes sense to keep. Takedown and double edge, we're just going to move those up a line here. And this would all be a lot easier in VS Code. Um, like I said, I probably should have did this in VS Code, but I wanted it to look like a way of someone who didn't know what VS Code was, or I don't know. I guess like before VS Code, this is how I always did it. So it's just kind of, you know, what I still do sometimes, which isn't a big deal. All right. The only ice move on this thing's TM and TR learn set, whatever the hell they're called these days, is Haze. So we're going to get rid of Ice Beam and Blizzard. I'll just put Hyper Beam over that. Let's go ahead and delete those. Now, one thing I want to check while I copy those two TMs, Trailblaze. All right, so it doesn't look like this thing learns, Solar Beam, Mega Drain, anything like that. I don't know why my throat has been like so scratchy today. So we're gonna eliminate this line of code. Oh, there we go. Dig. And then we can finish off this line with Mimic, Double Team, Reflect. There we go. So Bide is going to be our next TM. And I don't think, yeah, no Fire Blast. What about rock moves? Let's just Rock Tomb, Rock Slide. Okay. So it gets both Rock Tomb and Rock Slide. So we're going to paste that line of code there. And then we'll just delete this line. That's going to be our TM learn set. Now I do just want to make sure that our growth rate, medium fast, medium slow. Okay, so just do that. I'm going to go ahead and hit save on this. Bring back up our folder here. And the last thing I'm going to do, because we are getting rid of it from the game, the golem file here in base stats, just delete it. Okay. We're back on our wiki tutorial here. I'm just following this step by step for you guys to also follow along. We're going to head to this next step here, which is the editing the data Pokemon Evo moves ASM file. So we're going to go back one. We do have to edit this base stat file as well, not just in the folder, but this base stat ASM file as well. It's one I forget to do pretty often. And again, because we're replacing Golem, we can just Control F, replace it with Clodsire. Now I'm going to open up our Evo Moves ASM file. Again, Control F, find Golem. Just type in Clodsire. And as we Control F further down, we'll see that, the line for Graveler's evolution, evolve trade, Golem. We can just delete this line. Graveler no longer has an evolution. Now we can see Golem's evolution moves here. Now bring back up Clodsire. On our Bulbapedia page. So, let's bring up our file here. So we learned Mudshot at level 8. So we'll just delete out 11, put 8. And we're going to be doing new moves next. And I might make that a separate video from this. I don't know yet. At 12, we learn Poison Sting. At 16, Slam. And I'm just going to do this real quick. Oops. And I'm just going to change up our levels here. And then we'll just copy. 1, I think it's 3 more. We'll edit these as we get to them. The first I can do really quick, because Earthquake is the final move it learns. It learns Toxic at 40. Mega Horn. Sludge Wave. Poison Jab. So we have our level up learn set in place. Last thing I want to do, see where it says Golem here? Just type in Clodsire. And I just do, a quick Control F just to make sure I got all of the golems out of here, which we did. So if we look at our next step, we've added the moves. This just kind of, explains if you want it to evolve via level up, item, or trade. We can skip that though. Next, we're going to be going to miscellaneous data. So in our data folder still, data, Pokemon, names, ASM file. Golem, find it, delete it out, Clodsire. Next up, in that same data folder, data, Pokemon, the Cries ASM. And again, just find Golem, replace it with Clodsire. The next one in the same data folder is going to be menu icons and then palettes. So, menu icons, again, Control F Golem. Icon is just Mon, that's fine for me. Clodsire, palettes. We scroll down, well, I could have just Controlled F it. So for this, we're not going to have a gray palette for Clodsire. We're going to do a brown one. And, I just replace Greymon with Brownmon. We can see if we scroll up here, the Pidgey line and the Spearow line have brown palettes. So it's one we can use. And I believe Jinx is the only one that shares the same palette with with Mew and Mewtwo. Mewmon, Mewmon. They get their own special palettes. Don't ask me why, I don't know. Pokedex entry, okay. That's our next step. So, in that same data folder, Dex order. Open up that file. Golem. Replace it with Clodsire. No other. Then we're going to do back-to-back Dex entries and Dex text. So Dex entries is right above it. Golem. Clodsire. Golem entry. So Clodsire. Clodsire. If we go back to Bulbapedia, Clodsire is the spiny fish Pokemon. So we're going to replace Megaton with spiny fish. Clodsire is 5'11". Replace this 4 with a 5, this 7 with the 11. 491.6 pounds, so just 491 there for weight. Again, I always just Control F to make sure there's nothing else, since I am just deleting a Pokemon and replacing it with another. So now we have Dex text. And this is literally just the Pokedex entry. I don't even mess with this. Sorry, my phone is ringing and it looks like a spam call, so we're just going to ignore it. Yeah, I don't even mess with Dex text, so not a big deal. Then the next one is Pix. So Pix is a big one. We're gonna, hit our back here. We're still in that data tab. GFX. Then you want to open up the Pix ASM file. Clodsire. Clodsire. And one thing with sprites really quickly that I want to mention. With Pokemon Red and Blue, the front sprite can be a 56 by 56 PNG file of your Pokemon. And it has to be 4 colors. Otherwise, your ROM will fail to build. The back sprite must be 32 by 32, but the bottom 4 pixels at the bottom and the last 4 to the right will all cut off your Pokemon if it is within those squares. So really the sprite is a 28 by 28 sprite on a 32 by 32 canvas, I should say. But the last thing we'll do, front, I just find Golem's photo. I'm going to delete it. And I'm actually on a different screen right now. I'm going to copy my Clodsire photo here. I'm going to paste it in. If I open it up, 56 by 56. It's 4 colors. I got it from the Polished Crystal repository, I believe. Which, fun fact for you guys, Pokemon Crystal sprites will work with Generation 1. You just need to shrink the back sprite, because I believe Crystal, they use bigger back sprites. They're 48 by 48. But also with your back sprite, you need to make sure that it has the Pokemon's name and then B in the back here. Um, but yeah, we're done with that. I'm gonna save all these. Whoa, no, 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 no. Save all these files, and I'm gonna close them all out one by one. And I'll be sure to timestamp it in the video, but now we're gonna move on to adding a new move. So I believe before I said I wanted to add Mud Shot, Poison Jab, Sludge Wave, Mega Horn. And I do open these up in separate tabs because I can never remember what these moves do. But it looks like Mud Shot inflicts damage, lowers the target's speed by 1 stage. I'll also admit that I don't know how to make moves always do a certain effect, like always lower speed. Again, if you want help with that, I would recommend reaching out to Gym Leader Matt, Squidgy, or Snowy. But Poison Jab, I think this, 30% chance of poisoning, okay. Sludge Wave, 10% chance of poisoning. Mega Horn, just really fucking strong. Okay. So, in our same file here, we're going to go to consonants. Let's get out of GFX. Our consonants folder. I believe it's move consonants. Yes. I know how to do this all by memory pretty much, but making sure I do it correct for a video. I'm So this is every move in the game and various animations and effects. What we're going to do is we're going to copy just substitute here, and we're going to paste it 4 times. Then I'm going to go back here to this A4, A5, A6, A7, A8, A9 to designate different moves. So the first move we're going to add, not Mud Shit, Mud Shot. Poison Jab. Sludge Wave. And Mega Horn. Within this same, actually, no, we're good for consonants. We want to go back to our data folder. Data, moves, and moves. Actually, I skipped a step. What we want first is data move names. And then here we're going to scroll to the bottom. Again, I'm just going to copy the sub line of code real quick. And we have Mud Shot. Here we don't need to use the little underscore. For our move names here. Mud Shot, Poison Jab, Sludge Wave, Mega Horn. And now we would go to our moves ASM file. So essentially just scroll to the bottom here, at the end of the substitute line, hit enter 4 times. Mud Shot. It is 55 power, ground move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find Constrict. because I know constrict has a chance at lowering speed as a side effect. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it down here. And we're just going to edit everything. Instead of constrict, it's mudshot. It still has the speed down side effect. Mudshot is 55 base power. So we'll delete this 10 because that's constrict's base power. Mudshot is a ground type move. That is 95% accurate with 15 PP. And at the top here, it even says to, animation interchangeable with new move ID, effect, power, type, %/accuracy, and PP. Your PP cannot exceed 40 as a starting move. At least that's what I'm assuming this line is. I'm going to take a quick drink here. Okay. So, next is Poison Jab. And what I'm essentially going to do, I'm going to do the same thing again. I believe Sludge has a 30% chance to poison in these games. Oops. Get our comma there. And then Poison Jab. What are you? 70 base power? 80. Is it buffed or has it always been 80? Either way, I mean, doesn't really matter. 80 base power. We've already got poison here. 100% accurate. 20 PP. Boom. We have better Sludge. Now we come to Sludge Wave. And I think Poison Sting has the 10% chance to poison. So we're just going to copy it and post it down here. Sludge Wave. It's 10 PP, okay. And 95 power, so we're going to replace this 1 with a 9. It is 100% accurate. But 35 PP, that's way too much. Make it 10 PP. And Mega Horn, yeah, no additional effect, just really strong bug move. So let's find a bug. Actually, let's just find an attack like, what's got no additional effect, like Tackle. And we're going to copy the line for Tackle. And we're going to put it down here. And we're just going to change Tackle's name to Mega Horn. No additional effect. And instead of, 35 power, it's 120 because it is the strongest bug move in the game. It is not a normal move. It's not 95 accurate, it's 85. Is it 10 PP? Yes, 10 PP. So we have our moves in place here. We no longer need this. We gave the move a name. We edited the moves data and we just did that. Add animation. Okay. So within our data folder, animations. And the easiest way to do this, type in sub, not submission, but substitute. Substitute animation. We can copy that line and just hit enter 4 times. We added 4 new moves, so I'll do our first line right here. We're pasting underneath substitute, delete substitute, and mudshot animation. Next one, poison jab animation. Sludge wave. And mega horn. Now, I feel like the simplest way to do this, poison jab, we'll, lick. We're going to make it the same animation as lick. So above this lick anim thing, go above it, hit enter, type poison jab, ANIM, our little symbol there. Boom. That's going to be our animation for poison jab. Sludge. Guess what? You're sharing the same animation as sludge wave. Horn attack. Where are you? Horn attack. You're going to be our same animation as mega horn. And mudshot. I really don't know what I should make as that animation. I guess mudshot. Now acid would have been a good one. Not for mudshot, but mudshot. Because there's not really anything that resembles it in Gen 1 at least. So I mean it's not going to be seen anyway. You could set it to whatever you want, but we'll make it earthquakes animation. So we've added our animations. Next up is sound effects. So within that data folder, SFX, and essentially just scroll to the bottom, find substitute, make 4 lines of code underneath it. And the easiest way I tend to do these things is whatever attack that you make it the same animation for, just make it that sound effects too, just to make shit easy on ourselves. And it's important to follow the order that you put the moves in as well, so that's why I'm doing Mega Horn last here. So let's find Earthquake. Mudshot. What did I put for Poison Jab? Lick, okay. Would help if I could spell lick right. And then, let's see, Sludge was Sludge Wave. It makes it easy because it already has sludge in the name. save our files here. And then the last step is to just add it to a Pokemon's moveset, which we already did in our Data Pokemon Evo Moves ASM file. So now let's build our ROM and see what we get. All right. Wow, excuse me there. So I have Cygwin opened up. And let me take caps off. So enter the command cd poke red and then make. And it's going to go through a bunch of commands and lines of code here. And it's going to do its thing. You see it's doing its thing here. It's like going through every line of code in every ASM file. It's building our ROM. Let me actually grab my controller here. Because we're going to test this. And I do just want to note as well that, like, when I backport these Pokemon, if I'm just adding a Pokemon, like, I can do this process within, like, 10 minutes, if that. If I'm doing a Pokemon and, new moves, it might take, 15 to 20. But it's not a long process. It's essentially, just doing it over and over and, practicing. Practice makes perfect, as they say. But within our PokeRed folder here, within our Cygwin folder, we're going to find we have a PokeRed GBC file. That's our ROM. And a PokeBlue GBC file. That's our other ROM. So I'm going to open up Super Shucky here. And I'm going to take this PokeBlue and I'm going to drop it in. I still have the wishy-washy color palette. Let's just do it like this. Speed by this stuff. Normally I edit a file where you can edit the names and I throw mine in there. But for this, we're just going with blue and his name. We'll go with the Scott Special Butt. And I'm just, running at like 500 times game speed right now. If we click Charmander's Pokeball, we have Clodsire. So if you're watching this video and you followed the step-by-step guide after installing Cygwin, which again, there will be a link down below to the video that Squidgy made regarding that, then you know how to create your own Pokemon. You've learned how to backport simple moves. And I guess if I do this again, I can show you guys how to backport a different typing. If you want to add the dark type or perhaps the fairy type to these games, because I did backport the fairy type for a Nuzlocke that I have coming out in a little bit. But that's all. Thanks for watching, and if you guys like this, maybe I'll do more. Take care.